Down. Chapter 4. Enjoy the silence. I sat down on a park bench as Aiden ran over to Victoria as Andy walked over to sit on the bench with me. "So how'd it go?" I smiled as he kissed my cheek. "It went well because I was totally honest. We have two very strong allies." He nodded, and Sparky walked over to the bench and hopped up onto it. "Hey, buddy, how are you?" He barked while wagging his tail. Andy then reached over to Sparky to pet him, and I pulled out a cigarette for each of us. He lit us both up as the leaders were all talking behind us. Gordon was talking with Harry, and Victoria was talking and laughing along with Han. Aiden then walked over to us. "Hey, kiddo, what's up?" He looked into the sky and pointed his finger to it. "What is that flying at us?" I put my glasses on, and it wasn't any of our planes. "Go get your mother and tell everyone to take cover. That's Atmos." It was Atmos, but before I could even respond, there was a massive cannon that raised into the sky and started rapidly firing at the plane until it was nothing but burning fuselage. Aiden had gone back to tell Victoria, who was walking towards us. "So, boys, how'd you like the newest line of defense?" I stood up and watched the plane still exploding in the sky. "What the hell is that weapon, and where are they?" Victoria then pulled out a blueprint. "It's called Dragon's Breath, and it's a semi-automatic firing system that fires at Mach 15. It was invented by my chief scientist, who had the plan and blueprint for over a month. With technology and electricity, he was finally able to make it. It's all along the borders of Washington and California." Gordon walked over. "You really are prepared for anything, aren't you?" Victoria and Aiden looked on and smiled. Then Harry and Han walked over as Han spoke up. "So, about those treaties." Han, Harry, and Victoria and Aiden went over to a picnic table to talk the process out. It's sad how Aiden didn't have a chance at a normal life. After the power went out, he was stuck, wasn't he? Andy nodded. "Yes, but I hope that one day the world won't have to be so goddamn hostile." I nodded to that, and Aiden then ran over to us. "My mom wants to speak to Seb. They need your opinion on something." I nodded, and Andy stayed with Aiden, making him laugh as I walked over to the four leaders of the table. "So, what is it this time?" Gordon pulled out a map and placed it in the middle of the table. He pointed to a dock that I had never seen. "This is a dock controlled by a man who is a bit on the ruthless side. Harry and Victoria are cautious in wanting to secure a navy for all three countries, and there are 3 ships there, one for each of us. But there's a man named Perry, and he's a bit much to deal with. Victoria and I want to execute him and get him out of the way, but Han and Harry want to try and reason with him. What do you think?" I looked at Victoria. "How dangerous is one man?" She looked me dead in the eyes. "He held all the food away from my people. For over a month, he grew fatter and fatter while we starved. He isn't dangerous as much as he is just foundationally cruel." "So the docks hold resources as well as the ships. Han, Harry, let's hear your argument." Harry then stood up. "I think we should give him one more chance personally, but I also didn't know that he intentionally withheld food and aid to a starving populace. That makes me like him less." I nodded and looked at Han. "I also didn't know that, Seb, but I still think he deserves a chance." "Everyone deserves a chance, but to be so cruel while the world burned." "He had his chance. Gordon, Victoria, do what you must. I'm sorry, Han, but that behavior is unacceptable." She nodded, as well as Harry. Gordon grabbed his AK-47, and Victoria grabbed her machete off the ground. "Good luck, you two." They both nodded, and Gordon looked back at me. "We'll make sure the ships are safe, then we each get one." I nodded, and Victoria was off with Gordon, and I walked over to Han. "I'm sorry." She looked at me while sadly smiling. "I know, I just didn't know about the food situation. That makes it slightly easier, but still the unimaginable cruelty to withhold food. That's a war crime, and those are punishable by death." I nodded, and Harry walked to talk with Han in private, and I walked back to where Aiden and Andy were talking and petting Sparky. "Hey, boys, Aiden whipped his head and smiled at me. Hey, Seb, your dog is so cool. He's like the best. I smiled and pet Sparky. Yeah, he is. Aiden then rushed over and gave me a big hug, and I hugged him back. Andy looked at us and smiled. All felt right, even though I'd just doomed a man to death.